Great. So, welcome everybody to this live stream, a very important, exciting event in launching our Heads of State initiatives. We're just getting going here in Stockholm. We expect that we'll still have a couple of people coming from the last session, but I think it's a good moment to get going while we're all here. So, let me start. Let me welcome all of you here. Let me particularly welcome, I think we have three ministerial representatives. Well, Honourable Minister Freda Panta is going to be joining us shortly from Ghana. I think she's coming from the opening ceremony. Minister Sidik Mia, I'm not sure if we have her with us online. And Honourable Palmai Deng Nyai, I hope I said that right, excuse me if I didn't, from South Sudan, who I know was online, and I'd also like to recognise Engineer Madu, who's representing his minister in the government of Nigeria. So, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, all other protocols observed. My name's Patrick Moriarty. I'm the CEO of IRC Wash, and it's my great pleasure to welcome all of you here in this rather small and quite warm room, and all of you joining us online on the stream as we launch our Heads of State initiatives. I don't think I need to tell any of us that we're living in a rapidly changing world, that we're seeing incredible developments in energy technology, in machine learning, in artificial intelligence. We're also living through a profound demographic transition. We're in a rapidly changing environment, a shifting geopolitical landscape. And we're living under the ever-present threat of climate change, or of another global health pandemic. So I think it's strange in a way that amongst all this turmoil and change, one thing seems to remain perhaps a bit depressingly constant, and that's the slow, glacial pace of progress in our sector in providing clean and safe water, sanitation and hygiene services, the most basic, but also some of the most fundamental of human rights, to everyone. And why is that? I often speak of systems blindness, that when we turn on a tap or we flush a toilet, as I'm sure many of us have done today, we're completely ignorant of the system that lies behind it, the pumps and the pipes and the treatment plants, but also, and as importantly, more importantly, the human beings, the institutions, the money that are required for all of that to work. And for water and sanitation, that blindness, that failure to understand the need to engage with and build the whole system, causes profound problems, as it does for many other of the complex and wicked challenges that we face as a world. That said, over the last decade, we in the water and sanitation sector, and the water, sanitation and hygiene community, have started to lose our system's blindness. We've learned how to tackle many of the aspects required to deliver safe and sustainable water and sanitation services. We are making progress, but critically, we're not doing it fast enough. We need to accelerate radically, and that acceleration demands profound system-wide change. And so today we're coming together to focus on one absolutely essential element of delivering that change, which I think, as we all know, is political leadership, and political leadership at the highest level. And that's why I'm particularly recognising the presence of our ministers, but also of the heads of state that they represent. So, welcome, Minister. So we just take a minute while the Honourable Minister from Ghana joins us. You're very welcome, madam. Or you can go. So, Minister, we're honoured to have you with us, and we were just talking about why we're here together, the critical importance of government leadership from the highest level, from the presidential head of state level, to drive change in the sector. And so we and our partners, so IRC, UNICEF, SWA and the Dutch government, are, based on our learning from the last decade of investment into water system strengthening, have increasingly seen that to drive the profound change and acceleration that we need, the engagement of heads of state is absolutely essential. Not to replace our existing efforts, not as a new silver bullet, but as an integral part of and a critical enabler of the change that we desire. So in the course of the launch today, as per the agenda you see in front of you, we'll provide you information on the initiative. We'll share some messages of endorsement. We'll receive new commitments from countries who are joining the initiative, and have a roundtable discussion to welcome you, our partners, in the room and online, to join us in this transformative journey. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to another partner in this initiative, Cecilia Sharp, Director of Water, Sanitation and Hygiene, and Climate, Energy, Environment, and what's the D? Disaster Review? Sorry. Somebody's put me, excuse me. We're going to watch an opening video.
From putting a man on the moon to developing critical vaccines, we have seen how priorities can speed up the political agenda. When prime ministers and presidents take action on a particular issue, momentum can build very quickly. We need this political will for water, sanitation and hygiene to become national priorities.
Approval for new sector strategies and beyond. The initiatives can raise the political prioritization of water, sanitation and hygiene to ensure everyone has equal access to services, create long-lasting national commitments, establishing water and sanitation as causes that transcend political divides, help achieve and support other key priorities like economic development, national security, climate solutions, education, and health. Mobilize government bodies and development partners to deliver UN Sustainable Development Goal 6 and other related targets by the year 2030. Strengthen and incorporate water, sanitation and hygiene into national development plans. Increase international cooperation and leverage the most effective resources, technologies, and knowledge. Presidents and prime ministers can drive this change by joining the heads of state initiatives. Are you ready to play your part? Let's achieve Sustainable Development Goal 6, water and sanitation for all.
Great, thank you. And now let me pass the parole to Cecilia, and you can tell us what the D stands for.
Which D? Oh, DRR. What? Thank you, Patrick, Excellencies and colleagues. It's really a pleasure for me to take us through, is it the first or the second step, but the next step of the launch of this Heads of States initiative. So the Global Heads of State initiative aspires to inspire countries to prioritizing water services for all, and it's really very much in line with UNICEF's vision for WASH, where all persons, including the most vulnerable and the most marginalized, realize their human rights to services. So just to say a little bit around UNICEF's work, we work in over 100 countries, and we work both in development and humanitarian settings directly to reach the unreached, but we also work in partnerships. Partnerships to strengthen national wash sectors via system strengthening, which is what you talked about, Patrick, as a key priority, which includes approaches to expand financing, policies, political support, etc. And for UNICEF, it fits then really well to engage in this initiative, the Heads of State initiatives, so we can increase partnerships and do more together. So one thing we have in common where we see success is happening is where there is partnerships. And the power of partnerships mean that we are not alone on the journey. This is something we need to realize together. So, for the next step, to illustrate the power of partnerships, I'm really pleased to introduce 2 videos which are endorsing this initiative that we talk about today. One message will come from Mrs. Laura Chinchilla, who is the former president of Costa Rica, and from Dr. Han Seung-soo, former prime minister of South Korea. So can we please put on those video messages?
History tells us that authorities, political will, and priority setting are key to speed up the development agenda. When prime ministers, presidents, or cabinet members decide to act on a particular issue, momentum is built very quickly. That kind of commitment is what we need right now for water and sanitation. With only 7 years left to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, including universal access to water and sanitation, is the time for action by those who are in charge. I have seen firsthand how effective this approach can be. In my native Costa Rica, we made a virtue of protecting our natural resources and prioritize water and sanitation as part of our efforts towards environmental sustainability and social inclusion. This was part of our larger efforts to fight climate change and promote sustainable development, characteristics which my country has become well known for. Water and sanitation are not just technical issues, they are political issues, matters of human dignity, social justice, gender equality, and global solidarity. Water and sanitation go through all the biggest social, environmental, and developmental challenges we face. This is why things can change for good if, along with experts and social sectors, head of state get involved and assume their responsibility with these issues. Their political will and decisions hold the potential to catalyze significant progress in realizing the human rights to water and sanitation. We know that many of those leaders are ready to play their part. The Sanitation and Water for All Global Partnership is here to support political mobilization so that clean drinking water and safe sanitation will no longer be distant aspirations but realities for everyone, everywhere.
Dear friends of Sanitation and Water for All, I have recently joined the Sanitation and Water for All Global Leadership Council. I am honored to take on this role, and I do so with the conviction that leadership matters. In my time as Prime Minister of the Republic of Korea, I saw how things can change with the commitment and dedication of top decision makers. During my service as the United Nations Secretary General Special Envoy for Climate Change and later for Disaster Risk Reduction and Water, I was witness to presidents and prime ministers who changed the trajectory of their countries by establishing policies for more sustainable development. We need this now for water and sanitation. 2.2 billion people still do not have safe drinking water available within their household, and 3.5 billion people still lack access to sanitation. Climate change makes these matters more alarming as floods, storms, and droughts jeopardize the access that some people already have. At Sanitation and Water for All, we know that we have the technology and capacity to ensure climate resilient water and sanitation for everyone on this planet. We are determined to elevate political will to prioritize these issues. This is why we are supporting our partners to reach head of state and government to establish initiatives to ensure water and sanitation for all. With a commitment from the top and multi-stakeholder support from our partners, we know that progress can be made and that achieving SDG 6 is within reach. Having grown up on the banks of the Northern River, I know that water is life. We cannot accept that so many people go without. I strongly urge you to join us and to make water and sanitation a top political priority in your country. Sanitation and water for all is here to help. Together we can have an impact and realize our common goal of sanitation and water for all, always and everywhere. Thank you very much.
Way, we should extend a thank you to these for the strong messages that we got from these former presidents showing leadership. And they both reminded us of the urgency of focusing on water, sanitation, and hygiene, and that presidents do have a role. It's an important role, and they can spur action and bring energy to the WASH community. So both reminded us that SDG 6 still can be achieved, and that safe water sanitation doesn't have to be distant aspires, but a reality for everyone, everywhere. And it also reminds me of a quote that says, "It always seems impossible until it's done." So let's see if we can make it done. So now we come to the next phase. So these were the inspiring phase of those who are endorsing this initiative. We have another piece which is about countries who have been moving and that are ready to also inspire others. So in the design of this initiative, and I need to thank some of our colleagues that's been working hard to really figure out how this actually can work in reality. But while they were working, they came across several initiatives taken by presidents, of course, for the WASH, ranging from national initiatives to celebrate the Global Hand Washing Day. It's quite common initiative, very efficient as well. But then to programs around rural WASH development, etc., etc. But these initiatives alone are not enough. We still need to do more to raise the political prioritization of WASH within the national systems to get the change we want. So the good news is that there are countries who, through presidential compacts, can provide us examples of what can be done and inspire others who because they have been gone before. And therefore, I'm delighted that Nigeria has stepped forward and is the first mentor country. For UNICEF, this is particularly important as we have been partnered with the government of Nigeria in developing a compact and supported a mission to India to learn about successful national compact called Swachh Bharat. I think many of you have heard about that. Nigeria has also successfully ended open defecation in one state last year, improving the lives of nearly 8 million people. So this is really at scale. I'm therefore pleased to welcome a statement from Dr. Madhu from the Federal Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very Thank you very much. Let me say I'm delighted to be here. I also want to appreciate the opportunity given to us to show some of the small efforts that is being made in our country. Secondly, let me say also that making this statement falls on me because as we speak here now, a new minister is being inaugurated in Nigeria to head the Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation. And that has also kept away a permanent secretary who had prepared this statement to make on behalf of Nigeria. So permit me to do that on behalf of the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation. It is actually high delight to address this auspicious gathering of the global launch of heads of state initiatives on sanitation and water for all partnership. It recognizes the efforts of UNICEF, the IRC, WASH, and the Kingdom of Netherlands. It is a noble initiative that will help mobilize the needed political prioritization at the highest level required to advance access to water, sanitation, and hygiene services in our countries. Nigeria is happy to be named a mentor country under this initiative, and we look forward to working with other stakeholders in accelerating the progress on the meeting the Sustainable Development Goal on water and sanitation as we race towards 2030. The federal government of Nigeria over the past few years has demonstrated the political will and prioritization of water, sanitation, and hygiene at the highest level. Some of the initiatives implemented include the declaration of state of emergency in Nigeria's water sector and the development of a national action plan to revitalize the water sector. The Presidential Executive Order on Clean Nigeria used the toilet campaign to end open defecation in Nigeria by 2025 is another initiative that has been a good example of presidential compacts and has earned us recognition of being a mentor to other countries as we exchange learning in this regard with our colleagues across the countries. Permit me to add that Nigeria had the singular honor of hosting and sharing knowledge, sharing our pathway to these achievements with about 9 African countries last year, and our benefits, our lessons are becoming mutual as we try to help other countries also tread the path. The Clean Nigerian campaign has yielded considerable results in view of the high-level political backing given to it via the Executive Order Number 9. We recorded a statewide ODF last year, which has been mentioned here. This aside from other 109 local governments and over 39,000 communities that have been declared open defecation free across the country. For those who have few knowledge about Nigeria, Nigeria is a very vast country, and if we say one local government, it's quite a large space with a large number of people. And we have, in Nigeria totally, we have about 774 local governments. Permit me to say that some of these local governments have the sizes of some independent countries. So that gives you a close idea of the effort that's been made in Nigeria. And so far, we can say that 104 local governments have been ascertained and declared open defecation free, and efforts is being made to push ahead with these initiatives. Indeed, the compacts on water and sanitation, which identify sectorial goals, institutional arrangements, and action plans for implementation by stakeholders, and are endorsed at the highest political level, will go a long way in addressing and bridging the water service gap prevalent in many countries. This has been our success story in Nigeria, and we look forward to working with other countries to achieve greater results. We are happy to be on board this noble initiative, and we congratulate all the partners for this worthy cause. Let me also point out that while in this stride, while we are making efforts and putting heads together to push towards open defecation-free country, a visit to India was handy. So we have learned from people who were treading the path ahead of us, and we are calling others to come along on board and share with our successes. Of course, the path is rough, but it's doable. I thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Dr. Madhu, and I'm confident that other countries in the initiative will benefit greatly from the experiences you have, and thank you for being the first mentor country to support colleagues in other countries. So at this point, colleagues, I will hand over the word to Katarina de Albuquerque for the next part of this launch.
Thank you so much, Cecilia. Oh, thank you. You are amplifying my voice. Has been impossible to achieve, and hence the good news is that, just like the video showed us at the start of the meeting, we have several examples where heads of state or government change the fates of millions, from prioritizing the development of critical vaccines to putting a man on the moon, and now for water and sanitation. And I was delighted to hear the support of our mentor country, Nigeria, which will guide the development of compacts in Malawi and in South Sudan. And I had the privilege to accompany the Nigeria process very closely, and I observed how my dear friend, our dear friend, the former minister, presented a compelling case to the president about the concerning state of water and sanitation in Nigeria, which then unleashed what you were talking about, Your Excellency. And as a result, the country, your country, launched a plan of action, building thousands of additional water points, ending open defecation in one state, as well as multiple local government areas. I know some of our countries which are launching new heads of state initiatives here today are, as you were saying, Cecilia, eager to learn from your success. But above all, it is decisive action which provides the biggest lesson when a president or a prime minister or a king or a queen make a bold commitment. The dial does shift and sends a signal that this issue is a top priority. So on that note, I'd like to introduce representatives from Malawi and South Sudan, who will be announcing commitments on behalf of their own heads of state, which will ensure sanitation and water for all. So now I need to look at my colleagues to understand. Okay, exactly. So it was seamless. So I'm delighted that Minister Palmai Deng from South Sudan has been able to join us today. Minister, after the sector ministers meeting which SWA hosted with the government of Indonesia last year in Jakarta, your country took a remarkable step, making financial resources available to the wash sector. Our partners were deeply inspired by the government leadership and began to discuss a compact to eradicate cholera, trachoma and guinea worm. We are pleased that you are now announcing that this ministerial compact has become a presidential one. Your Excellency, the floor is yours. Good.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Organizers, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor to participate and present South Sudan Sanitation and Water for All Compact to you on these occasions organized by the UNICEF Global Leadership. In fact, hygiene and sanitation, South Sudan has one of the worst scores. We We are ranked the third nation in the world after Nigeria and Chad with the highest number of people practicing open defecation, estimated at about 75% of the total populations of 11.5 million people. Out of this population, only 41% of them have access to basic water supply, and 11% have access to basic sanitation. The impact of this condition is reflected in terms of adverse health effects associated with poor sanitation, loss of productivity due to associated illness or sickness, high costs in treating this health problem, as well as long time spent to access services. Whereas the need for sustainable water supply for all received significant emphasis in the past decades, sustainable sanitation and hygiene for all citizens did not receive similar attention, despite its contribution to the welfare and stability of South Sudan. Besides, improving access to safe water supply must include improving water quality. Please, you can put the lights on. Monitoring, especially at the points of use, to ensure safety and of all, no one is left behind principle. No, and reinforces our commitment to achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Our commitment as government of South Sudan is to provide an enabling environment for watch sector in terms of identification of policy gaps, development and review of policies, strategies and guidelines to end open defecation by 2030 through implementations of community-led total sanitation roadmap, whose approach is to decentralize sensitization, scale up of the community-led total sanitation tool, and promotions of community accountability to health. Can you hear me? And then to promote One Watch agenda aims to achieve Sustainable Development Goal 6.1 and 6.2 targets, sanitation and water for all mutual accountability mechanism, develop and support watch financing and investment strategy, and to include tax exemption from imported water and sanitation products such as spare parts, water quality equipment, and construction materials. Strengthen the system for watch data collection, monitoring, and reporting. And then the next steps that is to be taken by the government of South Sudan through the Minister of Water Resources and Irrigation is to declare the following step for World Compact implementation. Through the Specialized Committee on Water Resources and Irrigation in the Revitalized Transitional National Legislative Assembly, the Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation shall expedite the passing of Water Bill 2024 to provide a framework for regulation and management of the sector that will ensure transparent and accountable watch service delivery. Adoption of sanitation and water for mutual accountability mechanism. This process will be led through high-level political engagement, consolidating the requisite political goodwill and leadership under the motto, all for sanitation and water, leaving no one behind. There will be a launch of One Watch process that will entail joint planning, resource mobilization, implementations, and building synergy by all the key watch stakeholders. The strengthening of watch coordination structures by pursuing integrated and coordinated approach with relevant ministries and sectoral institutions. The empowerment of all Bumas, Fayam, counties, and state-line ministries to roll out the implementation of the community-led total sanitation roadmap across South Sudan, and to use community-led total sanitation technical guidelines, revamp the water information management system to serve as a data bank and water information monitoring hub that provides the government and the public with real-time quality data and knowledge products on water resource management and climate change. Development of strategies of promoting climate resilient wash infrastructure. Climate change has impacts on sanitation and water supply service, especially in case of flooding, where innovative and sustainable water infrastructure will be promoted. And then the question of how to achieve open defecation free is one of the questions that the government of South Sudan is struggling to answer. And for it to be implemented and to be achieved, we have the following phases of state and strategies. The year 2023 will be a year of preparedness. The roadmap.
Why is it?
The roadmap calls for substantial.
Hearing anything?
Hello, can you hear me? The roadmaps will call for substantial preparatory work in a number of areas. Major activities include conducting community-led total sanitation training of trainers at various levels, establishing community-led total sanitation technical working group at the national and state level, reviewing community total-led sanitation guideline for revision, conducting partner mapping, target setting, establishing monitoring mechanism, capacity building, advocacy, etc. The year 2024 will be a year of transition. During this year, the states shall be in position to prioritize their focus on different boomers in a phased manner, and the boomers are on different clusters. Then 2025 will be a year of midterm assessment. Each state will assess how far they will have achieved on the implementation of the roadmap during the first 2 years, 2023-2024. The year 2026 to 2027 will be years of moving forward. These will be the most critical and crucial periods in the path toward open defecation free status, and the states will go out to speed up the implementation process from 2028 to 2030. The final countdown maximum acceleration will take place during this phase, which will include achieving the remaining targets of the previous years, if any. The year 2028 to 2030 will be the year of final countdown. Maximum acceleration will take place during this phase, which will include achieving the remaining targets of the previous years, if any. This brings me to the end of my presentation, and I thank you so much for giving me this chance. Thank you so much.
Intervention. Thank you so much for your intervention and for sharing with us the progress that you are making in South Sudan on the presidential compact and in the transformation, or may I say the upgrade of the ministerial compact into a presidential compact. I don't know if you can hear me. Okay, maybe you cannot. Can you hear me? Okay.
Well, this is a commitment of the government, and the president of the Republic of South Sudan is also in a position to sign this document.
Thank you.
We were to get it signed before it is presented, but unfortunately, because of the tight schedules of His Excellency the President, he wasn't able to sign. But we are now in coordination with his office to get it signed.
Thank you
I'm
so
sure,
much.
yes, it's going to be signed.
No, we know, and we have your commitment publicly on video. So thank you so much, Your Excellency, and we are looking forward to that moment, and we hope that you could even share your team, Peter Mahal, could share some pictures with us. We would be very happy to witness and accompany you and your government in that important moment. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm also delighted to introduce somebody else to you, Minister Abida Sidik Mia, Minister Mia, the Minister of Water and Sanitation in Malawi. She was supposed to join us now, also via video link, but she has been caught up at the Parliament. So we improvised because this is what we do when there is a need for it, and as you know, Minister Mia has been a major champion for the Heads of State initiative, designed sprint, which has taken place at the All Systems Connect conference in May in The Hague, and she has helped us come up with four models for engaging government leaders. We decided to share with you a video of an intervention by Minister Mia at the All Systems Connect conference, and she calls on all fellow ministers to accelerate progress on WASH by achieving political prioritization from heads of state and heads of government. Thank you.
We have an African saying which goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. I would dare to challenge that saying because for a long time we have worked in silos and have not moved any faster on our commitments for SDG 6. After the All Systems Connect conference, the saying should be faster and farther together. I have the privilege of being one of the only 4 ministers on the African continent who serve as a dedicated ministry for water and sanitation. My fellow WASH sector ministers, the responsibility is ours to go out into the world and share our refreshed understanding of the WASH ecosystem. SDG 6 is a multi-sectoral issue with many pathways to achieve our desired objectives of sustainable safe water, sanitation, and hygiene access for all. It is not a secret that there is a lot yet to be done to achieve even basic service levels as a minimum for all people across the African continent. Urbanization, demographic shifts, climate change, food insecurity, public health emergencies, as well as economic and political transitions all demand a system way of thinking across sectors. These happenings do not respect borders. They do not respect departments or authorities. If we do not come together ourselves, we will be forced to do without a doubt. I can testify from my experience with cholera and Cyclone Freddy emergencies in Malawi. Under the leadership of His Excellency Dr. Lazarus McCarthy Chakwera, I can proudly say that Malawi is taking steps in the right direction towards WASH. We are at the inception stage of developing a presidential compact, and I assure you that we will be putting the models developed here to good use. Let me commend those countries that are more advanced. Liberia, for example, already has a compact 2023 commitments as at March 2022. In the spirit of partnership, let us share and learn from one another, building a more resilient global community. Development partners across the globe, as the journey continues, we welcome your support as we bring All Systems Connect to life. Thank you all for your attention.
Excellent. Well, I will not thank Minister Mia because she's not listening to me, but well, I think on behalf of all of us, express our satisfaction and delight at having her support to this initiative. So, when we set out at the beginning of this year to activate 30 countries to develop such initiatives by 2025, we knew this was an ambitious task. And I'm pleased to see that we did not only shoot for the moon, but we have entered orbit. The commitments you heard here today bring the total of new commitments for heads of state initiatives to 10, bringing us nearly halfway our goal in only a few months' time. Out of these 10 commitments, 2 are built on acceleration from countries that are making already great progress but need further political prioritization to reach the pace needed to achieve SDG 6. 6 commitments are about a purpose, a concrete purpose, such as ending open defecation or closing financing gaps. And the remaining 2 commitments will establish new institutions that will drive the delivery of SDG 6. So despite the contextual differences, there is a unity in this diversity. That unity exists in the form of reaching the top and reaching agreement with all stakeholders in each country. The response from countries is a tour de force and has inspired us as conveners, UNICEF, IRC WASH, the Dutch government and SWA to formally launch a global initiative because we will need all WASH partners to work together to achieve the aspirations of the heads of state and heads of government who will take this step and who will work with them in then translating these aspirations in concrete changes on the ground to make, well, to make a difference in people's lives. So the journey to the moon requires an out-of-this-world moment, and this has been achieved by the efforts of many in the shortest time possible. I now open the floor to those of you joining us here today to hear how you plan to support these commitments which have been made here today, or how you plan to undertake commitments or work around the initiatives in the years to come. Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure that I'm not improvising too much. So it's my great honor to give the floor to Her Excellency, Minister Freda Prempeh, who is the newly appointed Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation in Ghana, whom I had the honor and the pleasure to meet this afternoon. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I bring you compliments from my country. I'm very fresh at the ministry. I'm less than 1 week as a minister of the ministry. I took over from my predecessor just last week. And I must emphasize here that she spoke at length about the Presidential Compact. And my president is committed to this initiative. I must also put on record that before 2017, we didn't have a ministry for sanitation and water resources. We had 2 ministries, Water Resources, Works and Housing, and we have the Ministry for Sanitation and Local Government. But because of the vision of the president, he thought it wise to couch out the sanitation aspect and the water resources and set up the Ministry for Sanitation and Water Resources in 2017. That shows you that my president is committed to ensure that Ghana becomes clean and to ensure that we get more toilets in our institutions, to ensure that everybody comes on board. We have made a lot of strides in that direction. We are working with our donor partners. We are working with GARID, we are working with GAMA, we are working with GASLIP, we are working with the local government ministry and other private sector agencies in the country to ensure that the WASH program or project gets to the level where it's supposed to be. And I believe that I'm happy to note that you are rolling out this presidential initiative because it's good for the leadership to be part of the project, to own it. Because if my president makes an announcement that this is the way I am going, it carries a lot of weight so that we can also pursue his agenda. So we are committed to this initiative. I wouldn't say we've made preliminary progress. We've gone beyond that. And he's ready to sign on. We are expecting her in October. We've done our drafts, and we want to share with you when we get back to Ghana. We are in the process of finalizing the procurement of our consultant on this project. We want to bring the NDPC, UNICEF, and other state agencies on board so that we can have a very comprehensive document to work with. So yes, we've made some strides, but there's still more room for improvement. We are doing a lot of advocacy in this direction to ensure that people are encouraged to have toilets in their homes. Basic schools, junior high schools, secondary schools are also encouraged to do a lot of hygiene work. We are also advocating to ensure that we have better sanitary conditions around. We are also advocating that at least we go beyond the way of how we litter indiscriminately, how to do a lot of segregation when it comes to garbage. So a lot of communication, a lot of advocacy is going on in this direction. I'm happy my Nigeria friends have taken the lead. We are also going to pursue the same agenda to ensure that we have access to safe, quality drinking water, especially in the rural communities. Even though we have some programs and projects going on in the urban communities, we should also not lose sight of the peri-urban conditions, because in Accra, people think that Accra is the capital of Ghana, but there are some communities that still need to be supported. And we are happy to be part of this initiative. And as I said earlier on, I think it's a good one. And I'm happy that some heads of states have already joined. We are encouraging others, especially in the African continent, to also come on board to ensure that we get good drinking water, good sanitary conditions, and especially in the area of hygiene for the good people of our various countries. So thank you. We're looking forward to see you in October. But before then, we'll have some conversations like I did. I had the opportunity to meet her this afternoon. We had a very fruitful conversation, and I assured her of my president's support for this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for your inspiration and for jumping on board so quickly, having just recently started, and for embracing these initiatives and pushing it forward in your country. I think it's a great inspiration and source of positive energy for all of us.
Because I like the zeal, the energy, the passion with which we are rolling out this initiative. This agenda. So we are all for it.
We are all for it. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. I was told that Mr. Henk Ovik, the outgoing Dutch water envoy, also wanted to share some thoughts with us. Henk, am I putting you on the spot a bit?
That's okay. No, it's not that I asked the floor, but they asked me to take the floor. So.
Oh, okay, okay.
So,
okay.
but I'm happy to turn that
Thank
around.
for the precision.
Yeah.
The Dutch precision.
Very Dutch precision. Thank you so much, honorable ministers, representatives, and of course SWA, RSC, and UNICEF for partnering with us, the Dutch government, on this Heads of State initiative. The Netherlands is a proud contributor to the initiative because we understand how water works, but also how it can fail. We've been managing water for quite a while, but also on a governance level. And we know how important it is that across layers of society, including government, there has to be alignment and commitment, but also leadership that needs to be acknowledged in, of course, a very accountable and transparent way. And I think the Heads of States initiative and the way how presidents and prime ministers, the head of states and governments connect and step up cannot go without the connection across the agencies. So therefore, the way how to run water in your government but also across the layers of governments in your country. Without local capacity, national leadership fails, and the other way around. And I think the way to organize this best, I think the Heads of State initiative shows that. The Netherlands was also co-host of the second ever UN Water Conference in March 2023. I had the honor to lead the government of the Kingdom of the Netherlands on that. And it showed the importance of this type of leadership, but also we were happy to host many events in the context of water and sanitation and water security for all, but also in the context of this initiative. And in that context, a little update. It is, I have a little app on my phone. It's 150 days since the closing. I had this on the phone to have like 150 days until the opening and then like an hour before the opening, so I'll get really nervous. Now I'm getting really nervous that it's 150 days after the closing. But a lot happened, but also more did not happen yet. And also in that context, the UN, under the leadership of Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed, dedicated that, again, in this almost replicating the model you set forward, that there should be leadership at the highest level connected to implementation agency, literally agency in the countries, within civil society and communities across. By establishing a policy home for water within UNDESA, strengthening the coordination mechanism with a mandate of UN, within UNDESA, strengthening the coordination mechanism of UN Water, and appointing a UN envoy for water. We called for a strong UN envoy for water to help lead this, but until this moment we haven't heard any progress on that level because it is politicized. And I think perhaps we could have invited Amina here in this room to learn for how this works. If you take ownership, and if every time I listen to the stories from across the world, African continent is really championing these efforts. Of course, it's risky and it's political, but it's worth every minute of it because we can deliver in that context. So, again, compliments there. I think a lot of the success of the conference came from your work. We were in Jakarta a year before the conference for the sector ministers meeting. Not prepping for the conference, but prepping for water security and sanitation for all. And I can tell you that presidential compacts will be front and center when it comes to the Dutch government. The second part of the water conference was really about the commitments. And I remember to this day, 1.5 years before the conference, we had a member state meeting where it was about these commitments. Everybody was, a non-mandated conference, no negotiation. And I said, before you know it, these commitments become a postmodernistic flower garden. They bloom for a season, some, bloom again, and that's it. And everybody became a little bit nervous when I said that, because this was in a UN sitting. You're not supposed to say that. Yeah. Second said, I actually think we need a global pact for water. Well, that got everybody freaked out because a pact, before you know it, you're accountable. But that was exactly what I meant. We never got to that pact because it is way too far. But we got to the Water Action Agenda, which, in the context of having no mandate to bring everything together, was more than we got. Now we have that mechanism, and I want to refer to the mutual accountability mechanism as the WA helps, champions and leads. It is a way for transparency and accountability, not to blame and shame, but to learn, and from that learning help replicate and scale. Because, as we all know, we lag behind, so we need to know what works so we can scale, knowing that if we look at water budgets across the world, water ministers, if there are, or fragmented, but if we have them, only spend 75% maximum of their budget. So of course we need to quadruple our funding, but if we don't even spend the current, So it's about investing in capacity, institutionally, in our individuals, in our utilities, as well as in our government. So I think this is the mix between the accountability is, of course, that we have to be transparent and accountable, but it is about learning and replication. Part of the work that came out of the high-level panel on water was really about the African investment program, where we did this assessment, what is needed. We need the millions and the billions at the same time. We need institutional capacity. And if we match those conclusions with the head of state's initiative, it is this governance capacity that is so critically needed. Last, the donor community, which we are part of, the Dutch government, as well as public banks and other non-government partners in the room. As I said, we want to raise the profile of compacts as a mean to drive commitments at the national level. We will continue to do so, but we call on you to join us in this initiative and raise the profile of this work to implement the commitments. Now, this is a bit what I would like to bring here. Last, I was appointed 8.5 years ago, was the first water envoy in the world on the national level. It's been quite a journey. I'm happy that there's a successor, because if you leave and nothing happens, what can you tell? So Maaike van Ginneke started on August 1. She will join here in Stockholm tonight. She had sad personal circumstances why she is late, but she will be here full force as of tomorrow. And she's a real water engineer. She started her work with Doctors Without Borders in Africa, building toilets. So she knows everything about sanitation, about water, and about finance in her career. So you will have an excellent advocate for the work you're doing. And I wish you best of success. And I'm pretty sure I'll see you somewhere in Africa or Asia or the world. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much, Henk, and for sharing, with us the process towards the conference, what led to the conference, what we achieved, the fact that, okay, we didn't get everything that we wanted, that you proposed, but there is a Portuguese saying that I mention to my team very often, which is, if you don't have a dog, you go hunting with a cat. So, well, maybe we have a cat, but let's go hunting with a cat.
I like cats.
You like it? Good, me too. I use it a lot because sometimes we don't have dogs around. And thanks also, well, of course, on a personal note, Henk, thanks for all the work that you did as a Dutch water envoy, which is what you were, but then also, well, more globally, fighting for SDG 6 and fighting for the good cause and supporting and leading in the organization of the conference, etc. I think we all owe you something. All of us who work on water owe you something. It's a good debt. And thanks also for what you said at the end, the call on everyone in this room and beyond, the donor community, international finance institutions. I wanted to call on Frans, but he left. But there are other donors present here in this room, like USAID, IASC, the FCDO, and my question is, what is the role that all of you can play, all of us can play, in reaching out even to more countries, in more regions, making sure that, and we were having this discussion this morning, right? Is this an initiative? Is this a movement? What is this? In making sure that if we are convinced that the way to go is by reaching up to the highest political levels, then our ambition should be that every country on earth has a compact, right, for water and sanitation that shows political prioritization of water and sanitation. So what can we do in order to make sure, and what can you do in order to make sure that we have more countries on board and that we work better together in supporting countries, in setting the political prioritization, but then in making sure that this political prioritization has an impact on real lives of real people. That the change and the implementation of SDG 6 does not stay in a nice piece of paper signed by a head of state or a head of government, but that it really trickles down to the lives of the people that currently for whom access to water and sanitation is only a mirage. How do you say mirage in English?
Mirage.
Mirage. Good. Okay. So is there anyone who would like to add anything and brainstorm about how we can spread the initiatives even further to other countries, to other regions, etc. I'm not looking at anyone, not to put pressure. Oh, Paul, and then okay.
Okay, so yeah, thank you for the opportunity and for organizing this meeting. It's very important, and I'm particularly pleased to see that such high-level participation in the meeting. So just one point. The first thing I think which is needed to ensure that we have something which is a credible mechanism, it is to link the initiative and compacts to actual signs of delivery, to make sure that this is not only an initiative, but it's an initiative which really delivers. And like in Nigeria, we have examples of that. A mention of Modi's work on sanitation in India is another example, and I'm sure there are others. But to be credible nowadays, you need to be able to deliver. Now, that's important, but it is more easily done if donors and other development actors collaborate in support of that leadership. And so that's the critical thing. So maybe what an organization like FCDO, which has its origins in our Foreign and Commonwealth Office and in our Development Office, DFID. So what, as an ex-DFID person, we have is diplomats. So we should be able to engage with our diplomatic corps, which is a significant part. In fact, it's the majority now in terms of population of what we're talking about. Okay. That, I think, will make a significant impact. And the second thing we should do is link it to our work on systems. Because working on systems is pretty difficult anyway. But if you really want to have an impact on systems, which implies change, then that change needs leadership. And that leadership is going to have to come from way up in the government. So it really does fit in with that context. So yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Paul. Paul Deverell is a senior WASH advisor at FCDO, right? I was when I started this meeting. Did you receive a WhatsApp in the meanwhile? Good. And then I'm happy to give the floor to Jeff Goldberg from USAID. In case you don't introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Katerina. Jeff Goldberg, Director of the Center for Water, USAID. Just want to echo Paul's thanks. This is a really exciting initiative. We are long-standing partners of SWA and really thrilled to have so many high-level participants in today's event, and really for the effort to raise the political imperative around this. In terms of what USAID can do in terms of partnering on this, I just want to echo Paul's points on linking this to delivery, and to name specifically that from our standpoint, we are right now in the process through our own bilateral relationships developing 22 high priority country plans in support of the United States Global Water Strategy. And these are being developed in partnership with counterpart ministries. But similarly, USAID is part of the broader diplomatic corps at our embassies, and we are launching these in partnership with host country partners through our ambassadors and high-level U.S. government representatives. So to the extent these compacts are in place, we can certainly amplify them through those launches and make sure that these the compacts are reflected in the plans and that they're given airtime through the events that surround commencing the work underneath them. But then likewise, if the compacts are in development, our planning process can be used to legitimize and catalyze them as well. So that process is going to be going on over the course of the next 9 months. I know that our new water coordinator had the pleasure of meeting with Her Excellency from Ghana this morning. Is actually going to be out in Ghana in November to launch the plan. So we're really eager to partner, and that's just one example of a way that we can contribute to high-level elevation of our issue beyond technocratic levels, and really making sure that the political prioritization is emphasized. So yeah, again, thanks. That's something from a bilateral standpoint, but again, it's a way to amplify and legitimize and further these efforts. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Today I was having to pick upon what you were saying, I was having a meeting with the Inter-American Development Bank, and of course I was talking about the initiatives, and it's interesting that with partners, organizations, etc., that have feet on the ground, well, we get first-hand intelligence about countries that could be ripe. And the person I was talking with at the Inter-American Development Bank mentioned immediately 3 heads of state that would be ready in the Latin American region, that would be good candidates to launch heads of state initiatives. So I think that it would also be interesting for us to be in touch with you as you work on these countries, in order also to get a bit of intelligence from you and information and advice on certain countries that we might not be currently working with today, but that could be interested and be low-hanging fruits. And the same applies to the countries you work with, for the UK, and also for you, Alejandro, in Latin American countries, because you know which countries could be more prone to come forward. So working with you bilaterally and get that intelligence from you, and then work on what you were saying, Jeff, like the follow-up, the support to the development of the compact, and the follow-up to their implementation. I think this is all good, but I think there is a big scale of activities that, provided you have the energy and the time, that we could work on together. And now there is Gonzalo Menchengisa from Argentina, who also asked for the floor. Let me give you my microphone.
Thank you very much, Catarina, for taking us into account. My name is Gonzalo. I will talk to you on behalf of ISA and our General Manager, Fernando Calatroni. He's seated on my left side. We are part of Sanitation and Water for All. I chair myself the Committee of Grant Review with Marisa Strehle and Lucinda O'Handon. I offer our contribution to expand your message, your initiative among Latin America as well. We chair the ALOAS. ALOAS is the Association of Water Utilities among the region. I think it can be a good pathway to get the commitment of governments among the region. So, well, we are available to help you. We find this initiative very insightful, very important for the region. As you know, Latin America is very rich in water, so we can do solidarity regarding to water to other regions of the world. So thank you very much, and I wish you success.
Super.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Gracias, Gonzalo. Thank you so much. And I think that it was very interesting that you took the floor, because up until now we had more governments talking, and you demonstrated how other constituencies can step in and support the preparation of compacts, the implementation of compacts, the creation of that political will at a national level for a compact to come to fruition. Your Excellency, is there anything else you would like to add to what you already said?
Not really, but what I want to say is that credibility, loyalty, and commitment is very key in this direction. So the countries that have signed on to this initiative should let others know exactly what the success story is. That would motivate and, attract more heads of states to also sign on. So I believe that we have to do a lot of monitoring and evaluation on some of the countries that have already signed on. How are they faring? How has been the impact? How is the success story? So we have to tell our story, but you have to lead that. So I think that commitment, dedication, focus, and loyalty, credibility in this area is very important, because we are going to deal with heads of states, and they need to know that exactly what I'm going on, what I'm signing on, it has credibility, and for that matter, my people in my country are going to benefit from the compact. It's not necessarily just signing on the compact, but the impact has to be felt. That's why we are all signing on. So I think that the member states or member countries should let us know exactly what the story is, so that other people can emulate same and sign on the compact. I think it's very critical for leadership to take that initiative. Thank you. And if you permit me, I would like to seek your permission to leave to attend to another meeting.
Your Excellency. I was told that you had to leave.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here with us and for sharing with us your energy, your commitment and passion. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the discussion.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Can I add to this, Minister? But you, of course, you can. I don't want to keep you from the next meeting. But I think the consistency, continuity, and commitment you talk to is of course important in the countries where you lead, but is as important in the donor community. Fragmentation among and within donors is way larger than fragmentation on the ground. So I think what you have in your hands, IRC, SWA, and UNICEF, is the glue between what you're providing on the ground in the countries with leadership, with implementation, with accountability, mirroring back to that donor community. So hold us accountable too, but also our partner donors, because we jump from this to that, to pilot, to project, to country, to whatever. But for making this work, for scaling, and I mean, water and sanitation are key. And it's 2023. We have all the technology, we have artificial intelligence, we have everything.
And
but still not sanitation for all, still not water for all. So it is on us as well as on the country. So I think this Heads of States initiative really is a mirror also for the donor community to hold us accountable too, and you have that clue.
Thank you so much. Goodbye, Your Excellency. Very good. Is there anyone else wishing to take a Alejandro?
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much for the initiative. It's very ambitious, but it always seems impossible till it's done, no? I received the initiative quite well. Only one negative question. Why it wasn't proposed before? I have the opportunity to share with Katarina that the role of the Cooperation Fund for Water and Sanitation. I'm representing here the Cooperation Fund for Water and Sanitation from Spain in LAC. It has been an important role during these years. We have achieved important results in the region. We want to keep on doing things there. So we will be happy to participate and collaborate in this initiative. Governments have many problems to face, and I can understand that this initiative will try to make the governments to focus on water and sanitation. The connection between climate change and water and sanitation could be a good idea to make them understand the importance of the initiative. And also, it could be a good opportunity to be very present at the future COP the next year. Yes. So to present, not to present, to make this initiative a real initiative for the all present governments there. Regarding the SDGs, the conclusion could be that we are going wrong because I think, honestly, we are going, the current rate of progress will not allow the achievement of the objectives. neither in water nor in particular in regard to sanitation and wastewater treatment. For that reason, it is important, this initiative, as well as the importance of deciding carefully what has to be done till 2030, because in that moment the world will be expecting an explanation if the targets are not achieved. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Alejandro. Thank you so much, Alejandro. Alejandro, I'm going to tease you, to provoke you. When we were talking today, you were showing me some very impressive data regarding the impact of the fund, right? And the fact that approximately 30% of new access to water and sanitation in the Latin American region in 2017 was due to the support from the fund. I believe that the impact would even be greater if we had presidential compacts in those countries, right?
Yes.
Because we would further elevate the political will, and maybe the impact of the support that you are giving could be even greater. And I think this is what we believe in, and I think this is why we are sitting around this table, because we think that political will coupled with finance and other efforts are the secret ingredients or public ingredients, the ingredients that are necessary for us to change the course. Okay, good. Thank you. And thank you for mentioning also the links with climate change. And we, Cecilia, was making a comment here among ourselves because we were discussing it precisely this morning, and even the link with COP. We have been trying to bring it to the attention or this connection in certain countries. For example, I will not mention them publicly because they are still in the making. So, but we have been trying to make those connections. Okay, since we only have 3 minutes to go, and I was told that we have to leave this room in 3 minutes, I will close the meeting. So, ladies and gentlemen and dear friends, we need to wrap up, as I was saying, though there is so much more that could be said about this important topic, and today really marks the start of our global partners' response to take us from rhetoric to action. We have heard from trailblazing governments about the importance of commitments from the top. We have heard from committed ministers ready to deploy their power to secure the support of their respective head of state or government. And in the discussion just now, we heard about the ways in which many of you are willing to support, join alliances, build momentum from national governments, development actors, but also other constituencies. We have 7 years left to reach the SDGs. We know that 7 years is really not a long time, but I urge everyone, or we urge everyone in this room and beyond, to believe that it is enough time with the right level of political commitment. At the UN Water Conference, we at SWA called on participants to advocate for a AAA rating of all states when it comes to realizing the human rights to water and sanitation. And AAA stands for an ambitious vision supported by an action plan, ideally intersectoral, and accountability, the third A, for delivering on our promises. And to achieve this, we need to get political. We need to get political. As was said by many of you, we have technical solutions, but we need to get political. There is plenty of money in the world to redress inequalities that we see, but we must get political. And we can only deliver on our ambition if we work together, and we all must be ready to get political. So I hope I hope so, and I hope that you all are willing to do it, you here in this room, but also outside this room, and these initiatives are counting on you. Thank you so much for your attention, and good, we finished on time.